All right, hey guys, welcome to another episode. So, what is the Brrrr method? But first off, before we start off, I want you to say hi to La Negrita. Come here, Negrita. Come here, Negrita. Oh, she was taking a little nap. This is La Negra. She's 4 months old now. Okay, baby. All right, so that was La Negra. Okay, so what is the Brrrr method, right? You hear it all the time. I'm sure you do. Okay, so the Brrrr method is you buy, you rehab, you rent, and you refinance, right? Sounds pretty easy, and it sort of is. All right, so this is the experiment. Let's put it to work. So quickly, you find the right house, right? I found this picture. I have no idea what it is. First thing that comes to mind is a boat. It's got some rails, so I don't know if it's used to do like pull-ups or something. And it was, I'm sure the owner or whoever built it, they really liked the house, and I don't want to degrade the home, but it's gonna work for our experiment. So you find the right house, and you got to know how much it's gonna resell for. You got to know what the repair costs are gonna be. So you got to walk the property, and then you throw them an offer, and then you I don't know, you might make 20 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand, 60 grand, maybe $100,000. You gotta, how much work are you gonna put into it? Is it worth it? Right? Okay, so the first thing is you find the right house. Here it is, Ugly Homes, right? Then you find the right tenant. All right, so here's a lovely picture of the Addams family, and we got an equal housing opportunity stamp there at the bottom, so there's no lawsuits and no confusion. Everybody gets an equal opportunity. Okay. Prospective tenants, you got to know the list for payments for Section 8 HUD. So you familiarize yourself with that. Know your rental rates in those zip codes. They usually go by zip codes, and there's a payment schedule for that. Know the demand in the area. If there's a high demand, you could probably ask above those schedules. Know your client. Are you renting to doctors? Are you renting to somebody else? Everybody has a job, so know who your client is, whether it's renting or selling. The second R is refi. So refi is the same as selling. It's a different kind of selling, right? Because you're not selling to a consumer or a client. What you're doing is, well, actually you are. You're selling to the bank. So there's strings attached. When you refi, it's not like selling where you just sell it and you get rid of it and that's it, right? When you refi, you're selling it, but you only get like 75, 80, I don't know, a certain amount of loan to value. So you don't sell it for 100% of the purchase price. You only sell it for like about 75%. And they charge you a little bit of interest. So it's like a, come again client. And you can do that over and over again, right? You can do appraisals, and you got to know your finances pretty good, right? When you do sell outright, well, you get 100% of the value. Yeah, there's some fees involved, and then you got to know what you're doing too. Maybe you want your real estate license to save a little bit, or you can get a real estate agent that will partner with you to share, not share, but to lessen the blow and the damage or the cost of selling. So you got to know your partnership, partner up with a good real estate agent, myself, a good broker that charges very minimal. And so those are some of the things to think about. All right. And you can do that by cashing out with the cash out refi, or you can do a HELOC. It's kind of the same thing, except a HELOC is like a credit card, is the best analogy. You can just swipe and go, and you do interest-only payments, and I think the minimum payment is like $1,000. Check with your bank. And when you cash refi, you just get like the lump sum, you manage it, and then you can give it back and close the mortgage account. But you got to know your finances, your numbers. You got to know where you want to be. You got to set your goals and reach those goals. Okay, it's not easy for a lot of people, and it's hard to envision where you want to be too. It's difficult, but you got to do it because You just can't leave it to luck or chance. You got to know where you're going. You got to plan accordingly, and that's it. When do you want to retire? 40? Okay, we'll work. How many rentals you want? You got to work. You got to set these goals. Nobody's going to set them for you. You could have a mentor, such as myself, and I could help you along the way, but ultimately you got to set your own goals, and it just really depends on how motivated you are. All right, so here's the final step. You repeat, right? So you can, when you refi or when you do a HELOC, you can purchase another property because you have your money. You can do conventional loans. Now you only need 20%, and then you just do it again, right? That's the best way of doing it. Hopefully you partner up with a good banker or a mortgage broker that can give you these great deals on these loans, like 20% down, maybe even 15% down. There's some good programs out there. Or you can sell it and you get 100% of the value, but you got to know your tax situation. So let's kind of crunch down, take it step by step. So on this left side, hopefully it's on your left, but we're looking at the refi section, right, where it says if you like rentals. So buy another property with the money from the refinance. Okay, you refinanced or you did a HELOC. Whatever the case is, you probably did 75% loan to value, right? So let's say it's $100,000. You're only going to get $75,000 out of it, and you're making probably $1,000 interest payments a month if it's HELOC. If not, you're probably doing anywhere from 4 to maybe 8% on a refi, because it's an investment property. It's not a primary residence, so you don't have those favorable interest rates. So if you elect to do this, you like rentals, you like managing, you like having your property, you're probably a handyman, you save on costs, or maybe you have a great handyman and you can save on costs there because he does the work adequately, and you can go from there. Okay. You also benefit from depreciation. If you know anything about depreciation, you get the value of the home, $100,000, and you just divide it by 27 and a half years. And whatever that is, I think it might be about $4,000 comes to mind for some reason. But anyways, whatever that depreciation is, whatever income you make, it's like a get out of jail for free card. You just don't get taxed on it, right? Talk to an IRS enrolled agent. I have an IRS enrolled agent. I love him. I love her, him, whatever. Don't want to get creepy. I love their work because they know what they're doing. They're enrolled agents. The rate of return, you got to know your rate of return. How much are you making on your investment, right? So you're selling it each month, but you have a debt to service income, right? You have debt to service. You have income that's coming in. That's another lesson all in itself. You can probably look it up and learn a little bit more. So know your rate of return. How much did you put up front? Did you put $20,000 up? And when are you going to get that money back? I think that's a pivotal point. More on that later. And your debt to service income. That's another lesson, and more to come later on that. How much cash to spend? So all in all, you're working hard, you're working your butt off, you're working weekends, you're working 100 hour, 200, I don't know, you're working a lot. How much money do you actually have to spend? You're doing all this work, but do you get to buy a Louis Vuitton? Do you get to buy a little sports car? Do you get to live it up? Tomorrow's never promised, guys. That's just the way it is. Or maybe you're just hoping for the best. Maybe you're saving everything and you're just going to give it all to your kids. I don't know. That's up to you. But I think that's important. You got to reap the fruit of your labor. The dog is playing around. Sorry, guys. Got distracted there. So, you definitely got to enjoy the fruit of your labor. Just don't work hard. I mean, anybody can work. I don't know. Everybody's different. I like to enjoy the fruit of my labor. And that's, I factor that in. And then also know that when you do a HELOC or a refi, you're probably only going to get 75% loan to value, which is substantial, right? If the property is valued like $100K, you get $75,000, but you put in $20K, so then you're only making $50K back, but you can buy a $200,000 property for $40,000 because it's 20% down. So that's pretty good, just know your numbers pretty much and what your goals are. All right, so on the right-hand side, now we have the flipper, right? Or the person who likes to rehab. I don't like the term flip. because it just seems greedy and quick fix, and I'm not about that. If anybody knows anything about me, I'm a heart-to-heart person, and I like to rehab communities. It just goes deeper. It's not about the money. You make a certain amount, then you cover your bases and your expenses, and then if you're super greedy, well, then you start, pounding on people and stepping over people, and that's never good. Anyways, more on that later. So when you sell it, you get 100% of the value. Yes, you have agent fees, brokerage fees, but if you partner up with somebody, such as myself, maybe we can reduce those fees and make it more favorable for your outcome. So you're not getting 75%, right? So if you sell it for $100,000, you sell it for $100,000. Let's say the brokerage fees is about $10K. You only put about $20,000 down, so 20, 30, whatever the rehab is. We didn't factor that into the other one, so we're 30. Now you're cashing out about $70,000 versus having $50,000, right? So now you're up $20,000, give or take something, right? But anyways, you have more cash on hand. You're also liable for capital gains and short-term gains, so you got to know your tax situation. So I have self-directed IRA, which is 100% tax-free. More on that later. You got to know some tax jiu-jitsu, some kung fu tax. You just got to know the tax laws. It's not easy. You got to learn it. You got to be your own master. All right? More on that later. And you got to learn to pace yourself. You got to strategize with the self-directed IRAs. You got to pace yourself with taxes. You got to pace yourself with the fast track. Yeah, you're getting a lot more money, but you got to pace yourself, and you really, really got to learn how to manage your money. When you learn how to do all this, you're basically I don't consider myself a real estate agent. I consider myself a real estate manager, because I know and I live by the real estate life cycles. To me, this is a business. It's just not buying and selling and you live in a home. It's more than that. So I consider myself a real estate manager. So when you know these principles and you put them to work, you're actually a money manager. You become very, very talented and skilled in this art of managing real estate. You just become really keen about interest rates, financing, retirement accounts, depreciation, numbers. I've been in this for about 10 years now, and there's a lot to learn. But it's manageable, and you can learn it. So you pace yourself, and then you have the full value. So you can get the full value. We've already pointed that out and talked about it, and we addressed it. And the good thing is there's no renters, so you have more time on your hand. So maybe you can flip 2 or 3. You can rehab 2 or 3 homes instead of just refinancing and doing a HELOC to purchase more properties, have more rentals. It just takes more time. So it helps you focus. Whether your business is rehabbing communities, you rehab communities when you go for it, right? You can have rentals on the side too. Have your property managers, such as myself. I do that on the side too. Or you can go into it. Be a property manager. Know what it's like. I believe you can only have one rental if you don't have your real estate license. If you have your real estate license, then you can manage property for others. So, that's another thing too. So reach out to me if you want to learn more. I am your real estate agent. I can manage property for you, more than one. And I can teach you about all this. I believe education should be free. So here you go. Ask away. I don't charge for asking questions. And I hope you learned something. All right. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for viewing.